Hello everyone, today I'm going to take you on a tour through our new editor for Ultra Engine. It's coming along pretty quickly actually. It's a little bit ahead of a schedule actually, and I've gotten a lot done, and I just want to walk through here and show you a few of the features. Some of this will be familiar if you're a user of Leadworks, and some of it is completely new, and some of it is just kind of the idea came from Leadworks, but it's just a refinement of what we had previously based on the experience we've seen from using that for several years. So without further ado, this is the interface. We've got this nice orange outline around selected objects, which that's kind of nice because you can still see the surface very easily. And even if you zoom like right up to it, you can still see that orange around the outside, so you still know what you're looking. These pixels you're looking at are on a selected object. We've got our 4 viewports, just like in Leadworks, and the zooming and the grid control is all finished. Everything works there. But unlike Leadworks, we have, let's see, layout. What we can look at a single viewport. Okay, Leadworks had this. We can do 2 viewports. Leadworks did not have this. We can have 3 viewports. I don't know why you would use this, but I think you could actually get by if you wanted a little bit more space for your 3D rendering. I think you could actually construct your whole map this way. And then good old 4 viewports, so we can see every angle. This is actually a lot like engineering drawings for engineering, like mechanical drawing. So I always like this this kind of view. Let's see where to show you first. Okay. Okay. So one thing I've discovered is that a feature isn't really useful unless it's easily accessible. And that's one thing I've learned. Like having a feature that's hidden away too deeply in the application interface is the same as not having that feature almost. And then the other thing I've learned is you really want to limit the amount of stuff that's visible in the top level of the interface. So you'll notice the toolbar here has very few buttons. And I end up using the toolbar all the time. Whereas in Leadworks and a lot of other applications, you have a toolbar will have buttons all the way across, and it's like people are just like trying to, cram in any icon they can think to add. But it's like when you only have the things that you use all the time, you end up using them a lot more. And I'll show you what I mean. Oh. I use this all the time. This is so cool. You can just instantly increase the amount of space that you have to work with, and you can pop that back up really easily. Pop everything back open if you need it, but if you don't, then you can just do that and focus on your work. The status bar can also be hidden away. Let's see. Screen elements, this is all new to me, so status bar, and that gives us some more space. You can hide the toolbar, but I really like having the toolbar, so I'm gonna leave that open. Okay, the console here, it prints out messages, but it's also an input device. You can actually type script in this, a = 1. It just prints 1. A = a + 1. Okay, now let's just type the variable again. A = 2. Notify hello. So you can actually copy and paste entire scripts into this line here and hit return, and it'll execute like very complex scripts. You can modify the actual behavior in the interface of this program, and I've made some other videos previously talking about that. So I'd take a look at that, especially the AI texture generation video talks about that in a lot of detail. Here we have warnings, and since I don't have any warnings, it doesn't show anything, and your errors will appear here. I like this because it's pretty subtle. When an error appears, then it'll automatically switch over to this, and so you know something happened. And if this is closed and an error occurs, then it will be opened automatically. So it shows you that something happened. If a lot of errors occurred, then it doesn't give you like 20 message boxes. It just opens this up, and you can see that, the information is there without it being too much in your face. It doesn't interrupt your workflow. And that's just one of those things that I figured out by using this over and over again. Okay. Over here on the left panel, this is pretty much like LeadWorks, except we have some new primitives. The side panel over here is very interesting. This is just like LeadWorks here, where you have the object selection of what kind of brush or what kind of object you want to create. I tried a few different. I actually tried to get rid of this panel, and I tried a few different ideas for the interface, but ultimately I came back to this because there's really no way to make anything better than this. The project tab. Okay, so this will show you. Something's messed up right now. I just found a bug. Okay, so what's going on here is the combo box is opened, and this is actually a separate window, this drop-down list, and then when I press the tab and switch, it hides the combo box, but it doesn't close the window. Oh my goodness. Okay, I can fix that really easily. Thank you for your help finding that. Okay. This is the game directory, and we're testing with a game called Cyclone that's made in LeadWorks, and I'm opening up the LeadWorks files in Ultra. I'll put a link below the video, but it's a really cool game. It's one of the neatest things I've seen made with LeadWorks, and it's very, very fun, and you should buy it on Steam because it's very fun. One of my favorite features here is when you hover over a file, it just automatically shows this pop-up, so you can get a very detailed view of it without any effort at all. And the second you move the mouse off that tile, it disappears, so it's never in your way. That took a little bit of a delay because this is all... Okay, so when thumbnails are generated, they get generated in a separate process, actually. It's a separate executable is running in the background, and so that makes it asynchronous. And so when you're scrolling through, when you have a bunch of files that don't have thumbnails generated already, it doesn't slow you down. So that's very nice to have. I like that a lot. And we can change the... See, there's that asynchronous thumbnail generation. Very cool. Very cool. All right, here's the scene browser. Now, if we have objects selected, then we can access all their properties here. This is where the components are going to appear. You'll be able to add components. You can add multiple components for C++, for Lua, and if we support C# in the future, that too. That's how that works. Okay, and then if we have the scene root node selected here, then it shows us all these properties for the environment. Some of these aren't working yet, but that's fine. If we select both the root and an object, then we have everything is shown. So that's how that works. Okay. All right, so when we double click a file here, it'll open up. If it's a supported file, it'll open up in an asset editor window. And unlike in LEDWorks, we had like one window for models, one for materials, one for textures, and that worked okay. But I think after trying like several different ways, I think what I like best is being able to open multiple files and having them each in a separate window. This works out really, really well. Now, my first attempt at this, I actually added a tabbed interface here, and I just had this one window, and then every asset would open in the same window under a new tab. And I actually found that it was actually really bad. Because with this, I can easily select what I want, because it's like, okay, I've got this material here, this material here. I can see in the background, I can see where the file is. I don't have to look at the file name. I can just select what I want. I can arrange multiple files very, very easily. That's the beauty of the windowing system. And this is way better than having tabs, because if you have tabs, then it's just this tiny little text label that you have to find. And I actually found like I can navigate this way, way faster than I could if these were in separate tabs. So I think tabs are good for code files, but actually for something like this, having each item in a separate window is really fantastic. That was another thing that it's like I tried the alternative, and after I had been using it for a while, I just realized, oh wow, this isn't a choice. This is something I have to do it this way because it's so much better. Anyways, I think we have some 3D models here. I'll show you some of those. Props. This will be good. I actually would like to show you an animated model if I can find. Okay, cool. Yeah, this one has some animation. So there's the animation controls on the bottom. I think those turned out pretty nicely. You can select the sequence you want there. You can pause it and move the frame around. And if you just click here, then it automatically stops. And another thing is, okay, it's playing. If the window is deselected, then it just stops automatically. So that's also very cool. There's the hierarchy of the whole thing. We can select the object, or we can select the material. And then we can edit the material. All very cool. So what's left to do? There's no 3D editing yet. I don't have any ability to create objects or rescale them or anything right now. I'm saving that for very last. That's going to be the very last thing I do. We do have the ability to select things. We do have the properties system working. The viewport navigation is totally done. And it's really, really smooth. It's turned out really nicely. But I'm saving the 3D editing that's actually going to be the very last thing I do. And I think it just... I think I'm doing this sort of in order of... I think the other stuff is sort of the foundation, and then the final 3D editing, that's sort of like the final action that the user performs. And it's kind of interesting that everything else comes first and supports that final piece where the user is really spending most of their time and interacting heavily with that. That's going to be the last thing I do. So this is the new editor for Ultra Engine, and I'm showing off some content from the game Cyclone, which is available on Steam. We also have pre-orders for Ultra Engine available now on our website. You can pre-order the standalone version, or you can pre-order the Steam key. And all the options are there. Basically, Pro is C++ in Lua, and the standard version is Lua. Is just Lua programming using Visual Studio Code for the editing and the debugging, which I'm pretty sure I have. Yeah, I do have videos showing that, and it's also very cool. So check that out too if you're interested. But we're getting very close now. This is where we're at. Almost there.